fella jumping up and down. Yeah. The best Marvel character, what? What do you think was the best one? The best one I ever made? Oh, I don't know. I'd have to leave that to you. They're all my favorites, you know. Every time I think, I'm my own biggest fan, and I love everything I've ever done. So I can't answer that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What's your favorite comic you're doing right now?
What's your favorite comic you're doing right now?
The favorite comic I'm doing now, actually, I'm not doing one, so that's tough to answer. I guess Ravage was the last one, so that was the favorite one I was doing most recently. I do have one thing you might be interested in. I came up with a new idea called Rift World. It has to do with a publishing company that publishes comic books. And suddenly 2 superheroes from another dimension come to Earth. They're 20 feet tall. And the publisher of this comic book company tries to sign them up, and he figures it'll be great to write about real superheroes. But then he begins to realize, hey, these may not be heroes. These guys could be trouble. And are there any more like them? And why are they here on Earth? And it gets very complicated. Well, I didn't have time to write it, but I mentioned it to some guy who publishes books. He said it sounds like a great idea for a pocketbook series. So Signet Books bought it. And they have a line of books called ROC, R-O-C, that publishes science fiction stories. So they've just published the first one. It's called Stan Lee's Rift World. And it's the only time I've ever had my name on something that I didn't write, because I didn't write the story. They got another guy to write it. It's just my idea. But he did a great job. It's exciting, it's funny, it's satirical. And the company likes it so much, they've already written 3 stories. It's going to be a whole series of science fiction books. So if you get a chance, you might enjoy Rift World. Marvel is going to later on do a comic book series of it. And we've already had 2 nibbles from movie companies who want to do movies of it. So remember, you heard it first. Rift World. Yes, sir.
I was wondering, how did you come up with the characters that you created?
How do I come up with the characters? I think of them. I don't know. You know, people very often ask that. I have absolutely no idea. I mean, you sit down and you say, I want to make up a new character, and you try to think of what doesn't yet exist, and then you write it. It's like they used to say when you're a sculptor, you want to sculpt an elephant, you take a big block of clay, and you chisel away everything that isn't an elephant, and what you have left is an elephant. I don't know. I can't answer that. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Who do you want to play Peter Parker?
Who do I want to play? If I were a little younger, I'm going to try to play Jonah Jameson. That's what I'm going to do. I think you better all write a letter to Cameron and tell him he better cast me in that. I don't know. Peter Parker will probably be an unknown. They'll probably look around. In fact, Cameron said he intends to spend the next year trying to find a talented 17 or 18-year-old guy who would play the role. Just like Chris Reeve, nobody had really heard of him before the movie. But the villains, and I can't tell you who they'll be, it's a deep, dark secret, but the villains, I'm sure, will be famous actors. And let's see, anybody who hasn't had a question? Yes?
About how long does it take you to write one comic book?
How long does it take me to write one comic book? Well, when I used to write them, it took about a day. And now I do it a little faster, but I'm not writing that many, so. The only thing I'm really writing steady now is the Spider-Man newspaper strip, which those of you who may have seen this thing that's been passed around, what we're doing starting in December, and this has never been done before in the history of the human race. We're going to use the same story in the newspaper strip as we are in the Spider-Man comic book, which is totally impossible. You can't do it the same, but we're going to try. And they're making a whole contest out of it. All the details are in that thing, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Yes, sir. 2 questions. All right, thanks. I'll sign this later at the end. That's not a question. I'll be signing them in a few minutes. What? Yes. Question was, will there be more X-Men cartoons instead of the ones you're seeing all the time. Yeah, we're doing another 65 of those. You're going to have X-Men cartoons up to your earlobes. You won't. There'll be so many you won't know what to do with them. Yes, sir. On the cartoons. Are we going to get the story of Wolverine, Sabretooth, somebody else, and Cable and Stripe? Of course you are. But we're not going to do it too soon. We want you to keep buying the books, you foolish person. Yes, ma'am. Right there. You had your hand up, now you're looking around. Where did you go? Was there a Marvel comic cookbook? How about that? I don't know. You may not believe this. I'm not the guy who did that book. I don't know how to boil water, but if it's important to you, I'll try to find out. Yeah, no, you had a question. I can't do it twice. Who didn't have a question? You. Yes, sir. He forgot what it was.
You know, Carnage's costume is more powerful than Venom.
Is Carnage's costume more powerful?
Why? You know, what makes it?
Now, this is the kind of question I always dread. Is Carnage's costume more powerful than Venom?
Why is it?
And why is it? I mean, it is, but you want to know why.
Why is it?
Ah, you're asking the wrong guy. I didn't even know they each had different costumes. No, I got to tell you, every month they send me 100 books that they publish, and they put them on my desk. Then they send me the books that DC publishes. Then I get the Image and the Valiant and the Dark Horse and the Defiant and whatever. I come in once a month and my desk is covered with 50 million comic books. I don't even have time to look at them, let alone read them. And I know I should know what's going on, but it's impossible. So questions like which costume is more powerful or something, I'm going to have to ask you. Yeah, the fella back there. Yeah. Called what?
Generation X.
Something X. You hear that? Huh? Generation X. Yeah, that's one of ours, but I don't know what it's going to be. I haven't read it yet. I probably won't for the next year or two. Yes, sir.
Sir, how do you feel about just a whole lot of gimmick covers, gold foils, trading cards?
How do I feel about all the gimmick covers, the gold foil, the trading cards? It's very simple. If we sell a lot of them and make a lot of money on them, I love them. Now, you may think that's very crass and cold-hearted, but it really isn't for this reason. If we sell a lot of them, it means that you people, or most of you, must like them. Because if you didn't like them, you wouldn't buy them. And that is the only test there is in the world. You people run the companies. Whatever you buy, we produce. Whatever you don't buy, you can bet your bottom dollar we'll stop producing, because we don't want to produce things that nobody wants. So the best way you can show what you like or don't like is by buying it or not buying it. If you keep buying all these crazy foil covers, there's no way we'll convince the guys back in New York that you don't want those covers. And if you don't want them, don't buy them for 2 months and you'll never see another one. It's all up to you. And I'm told I can only take one more question. This is too difficult a decision. Larry, you pick somebody.
When did you start writing Marvel comics and why?
When did I start? This is a funny question. When did I start writing Marvel Comics was the first part of it, in about 1940. The funny part is, why? A lot of people say to me, why are you writing comics? I did it because it was a job and I needed the money. That's usually why people do things in this business. But I've enjoyed it all those years. I've enjoyed talking to you all. Now we're going to do an autograph session. If any of you are foolish enough to want me to ruin your books by marking them up, I have till about, what is it, 4 o'clock? Okay, so I'm going to be here signing. Come on up, and thanks very much for your attention.
Okay, listen, stop.